Okay, so this is my research project 3. So I'm going to be carrying out an evaluation of my project. I'll carry out a review of the project, explain the strengths, areas for improvement, and the future recommendations. So first of all, I'm going to be saying whether I've met my objectives or not from project 2. So I had 5 objectives in project 2. I'm going to explain them, how I achieved them or how I didn't achieve them. I'm going to provide evidence of how I achieved them as well. So my first objective was to define shooting, offsides and work rate in football. So the way I defined these 3 terms of shooting, offsides and work rate was by researching different definitions on the internet to use in my project. So the first one for shooting is I found that shooting is easily the most common way for goals to be scored. It's done using the feet, using the head. For example, heading the ball is the second most common way which goals are scored. The next one was the rule break, which was being compared, which was offsides. So again, I researched a definition, so I found this one. The player is nearer to his opponent's goal line than both the ball and the second last opponent. The player is not in an offside position if he is in his own half of the field of play. And finally, the movement pattern, which was being compared in the investigation, was work rate. So work rate, again, found a definition for it. It's the amount of energy that is expended in sport or physical exercise. Second objective for the investigation was to design a notational analysis system to investigate shooting, offsides and work rate. So to design the notational analysis system to analyse the 2 games, I used a system called Dartfish, and this here's a print screen of the Dartfish buttons I used. So what I'd do is I'd wait for Rotherham to have a shot, offside, or to do the work rate of the player. I then choose the type of the shot, the area in which the shot was taken, the player who took the shot, the success of the shot, and then the half that the shot was taken in. So my next objective was to compare 2 performances of Rotherham in the Championship and the League One playoff final. So my evidence to prove that I did this was I created graphs from the data that I collected on Dartfish from the 2 games. So here you can see a graph from the Rotherham versus Leeds game, which was played in the Championship. Here you can see another graph which was print screened from my game where Rotherham played against Leyton Orient in the League One playoff final. You can also see more of my graphs and analysis in my results section of Project 2. So my 4th objective was to analyse 2 Rotherham United games, one from the Championship and one from the League One playoff final. My evidence of this can be seen in Project 2 under the discussion page, where I'll discuss what I found from the 2 games, how they compare, so what the similarities are from each game and what the differences may be. And my final objective was to discuss my results and findings of the research, so this kind of links to the analysis. So once again, you could look at my discussion part of my Project 2 to see what I found, and that would be my evidence for discussing the results and findings of the research. So next I'm going to be talking about my strengths and weaknesses of my research project. So first of all, a very few errors were made during my coding. It was accurate because the game was watched twice, meaning that the results can be more reliable. Second is the design of method. So I did analyse 2 games during the design of method. I chose football as this is a sport I know well, so I knew what to look out for in terms of offsides, the work rate, and also the shooting, whether to consider something as a shot or not a shot. To improve it next time, I could even investigate some more performance criteria such as passing or tackling, but I didn't want to overcomplicate things, which could make my results unreliable or not as accurate as they already are. Next was my data collecting methods. So again, knowing football and knowing Rotherham United quite well, I could easily recognise the players, so I knew which buttons to press on Dartfish. Linking this to Dartfish, I did find it very useful, as all I had to do was click which player it was, whether they were successful or not, etc. in terms of types of shot, where they took the shot from. Also, my time management can be linked to this, as it did take quite a while to do the whole project, but finishing on time and taking a while to do my coding did help me in the end, as I could get the most effective results to ensure that they're reliable and that they're actually accurate. And I also feel like I planned quite well, as the videos for the 2 games were both downloaded in time. The Dartfish was ready to use, and I learned how to use it properly, which helped me to ensure that my results again were reliable when it came to the real thing. And previously also completing a research proposal in my first research project also helped me with my planning. So there's a few things which I'd like to keep the same, and also what I could change for next time. So the use of Dartfish I'd definitely keep, due to the fact that it was easy to use and helped me to get my reliable and accurate results. Next, I'd also keep the same sport, so I'd keep football, as I feel like this is the sport I have most knowledge in, and I know what to look out for in terms of the shooting and work rate, etc. The amount of teams, I'd also like to keep that at 1 of Rotherham United, because I just feel like this would be easy to compare results against one another. Perhaps in future I could use another team to compare to see who works harder or who has more shots during games. The performance criteria, as I mentioned before, I could include tackling or passing to improve my research, to get more in depth of what goes on during the Rotherham United football match. I could also analyse more matches if I had time. Again, this would make my results more accurate. It would give me more games to compare each other to see how hard Rotherham United players really do work, and how their shots can affect their game. So for this project I did analyse the work rate of just one player, Alex Revel. So next time I could do a different player, or perhaps a few different players, so I can compare and see the similarities between 2 different positions on the pitch to see how hard each other works. And finally, I'll keep the structure of my research project the same, this way that I can plan effectively and carry out the actual project itself and conclude the project and evaluate it correctly. So there's a few ways which I feel I could develop my project. So the first thing would be to analyse more games. This way it would help me to get more results, which I could compare to one another through graphs or tables, and see where Rotherham are most likely to want to improve their game to make them a better team. Secondly, analysing a greater range of performance criteria. This way I can look at different aspects of Rotherham's game, again helping them to see where they are most likely need to improve, or where they could want to improve. And finally, I think that I'd want to analyse more than one team, as this would really give me a way of seeing what teams in different leagues work harder, the ratio of how many shots they have compared to other teams and divisions, to see how they're most successful, whether it's with a slower build-up play or shooting from long distances.